I am so glad that this is the topic of my first video message board response. But in short, the cap hits for the Calvin Johnson-Aaron Rodgers trade will remain in place. It was a fair and legal trade that went through. There's no reason whatsoever that those cap hits should be reversed. As the commissioner of this league for a decade, it's been my policy to not get involved with trades. I do not do it as a commissioner. I don't do it. I never have, I never will. Even if an owner has made a mistake, I've never done that. Even when an owner makes a mistake, pushes the wrong button for a player or whatever, that's a legal trade. I have never, ever reversed a legal trade in this league, ever, in 10 years. I'll repeat that. I have never, ever, and I will never reverse a legal trade in this league. Now, Old School is going to talk about a trade that I reversed. It was an illegal trade, and I'll get to that in a minute. So again, I will reiterate that in the 10 years of this league, the hundreds of trades that have gone through, I have never, ever reversed a legal trade between two parties. Now, things have arisen in the past too where owners have made mistakes, or they've been drunk, or they pushed the wrong button, or they fat-fingered their phone, their thumbs are too big, and they pushed the wrong player, whatever. I have had a policy as a commissioner to not get involved with that. I let the two owners make a gentleman's agreement between them, and hopefully they can either reverse the trade on their own. That's not me getting involved. That's not me reversing it. They can reverse it on their own or reach some other agreement that makes the trade fair. Because ultimately, you want to have a good reputation in the league as a trader. Now, Old School is going to bring up this trade that I reversed in the past with Lucky Rabbit. That was an illegal trade. So again, I have never ever reversed a legal trade in this league. I did reverse an illegal trade, but since reverse seems to be the semantics that we're arguing over, let's just say I voided that trade because it's a trade that never ever should have happened in the first place. The old system used to process trades automatically, and it just sent that trade through. And it put Lucky Rabbit over the salary cap. Now we have a hard salary cap now, so that was an illegal trade. There's no way that trade should have gone through. If the settings were set so that that trade would have gone through and I would have manually had to process it, it never would have gone through. Since then, I manually process all trades to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So yet again, the statement that I have never ever reversed a legal trade in this league is true. I have only reversed one trade. I voided a trade that never ever should have happened and never would have happened if I had the league set that so I could manually process all trades. Now, as a commissioner, I'm also an owner in this league, and at times I have the right to just be an owner. As an owner, I made a mistake as well, ironically with Old School in a trade. I believe I wanted to offer a second-round pick, but I offered a first instead. Old School, in text messages to me, will be like, "Oh, dude, I was so cool with you in reversing that trade," when in fact, he was not cool at all. So as an owner, I made a mistake in a trade. I pushed the wrong button. I clicked the wrong draft pick. However, it was still a legal trade. As commissioner, I could have reversed it, but I didn't because as commissioner, I have never reversed a legal trade in the decade of running this league. I easily could have reversed it with a click of 3 mouse clicks, but that wouldn't have been the right thing to do. Instead, I had to revert back to an owner and try to reach a gentleman's agreement with Old School to correct the mistaken trade. Now, in reverting to this gentleman's agreement between 2 owners, Old School sent me all kinds of text messages and say, oh, he was really cool with making my mistaken trade right, and oh, he was really cool in doing that. No, he wasn't cool at all. I had to show example after example of what I had really intended to offer in that trade. I had to practically pull teeth to get a gentleman's agreement. And actually I had to revert to and give Old School a taste of his own medicine and revert to a temper tantrum, which I just did because it was Old School and that's what Old School does, so I figured that's what Old School would understand. And I had to threaten some bullshit about making some league-wide rule that will prevent mistaken trades from happening in the future. We can get into that at a later time, and that's probably a little more trouble than it's worth. However, Old School was not cool with making that trade correct. And in the long run, I ended up getting, he'll say that it was cool, but if you look, that trade was not reversed. I got screwed out of a pick. I moved back from a first round to a second round pick, and Old School made off with the first round pick. I don't think he's ever realized that because he thought everything was cool and everything was reversed in that trade and it was exactly the way it was intended to be. No, it wasn't. He got away with something. Old School, you got away with more in that trade than I had intended. I chalked that up to just my own, basically the price I had to pay in making a mistake. So now, Old School has brought up the one illegal trade that I reversed. But again, I have never ever once in the decade of this league reversed a legal trade. He's also brought up, so I've debunked that. He's also brought up the trade in which I made with him that I did not reverse. I didn't reverse my own trade. As a commissioner, I didn't reverse it. We reached a gentleman's agreement, and I still got less than what I wanted to get out of that trade, so I paid a price. But he also hasn't brought up all the other mistaken trades that have gone through in this league. There have been multiple mistaken legal trades in this league that I have not reversed because in this league I do not reverse legal trades. I'm not going to go through and dig them all up. However, I know for a fact my own brother, Cat Stranglers, also had a mistaken trade where he pressed the wrong draft pick or whatever. A gentleman's agreement was not reached, and he basically got screwed out of the deal. That's fine. Again, he accepted that as the price that he paid. There also have been many times where, and props to TKD, the trade was just absolutely corrected as far as an owner can do and was just completely reversed, and that has also happened many times. However, what has not happened is the commissioner's office has never ever erased those fees that go with those mistaken trades. Again, that's because in a decade as a commissioner, I have never once reversed a legal trade in this league or undone, erased the fees, SPs, transaction costs, whatever, cap hits, whatever you want to call them. I have not reversed those either because I do not do that with legal trades in this league. Now I know that it's a tough pill to swallow, $17.75. I know that. I know it, and it sucks. It sucks for you. But I can't reverse it. I just can't because it's not fair to those people that I didn't step in and help on a mistaken legal trade in the past. I just can't do it. It's not meant to be a fuck you league like you say in your post. Yes, this is a serious league. It's $2,000 on the line. So therefore, everything has to be consistent. That's why we use the league the way it is. This league is binding between us and that $2,000. If you put on the message board that you want to franchise tag a player, and then 5 days later you change your mind and you want to low tender them, Well, too bad you can't, because you've already declared to the other 15 players in this league what your intentions are, and what your intentions are with your money and their money collectively. So we use the site as our contract with each other. When you put an auction into the system, or when you place a tag on somebody, on a player through our message board system, or you conduct a waiver or a trade in our trade system, once all those go through, once you press that button to reply or set auction bid or send that trade, that is literally your contract to the other 15 guys who put in their $140 of their hard-earned money into this league. This is your contract with them and that money that is your intention to do. I just can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry it cost you $17.75. It's not my fault that you pushed the wrong button. It's not my fault that he had a $17.75 cap hit in the first place. This is literally something that I will fold this league over. I will never, ever reverse this. Ever. I will never, ever reverse a legal trade in this league or the fees that are associated with it. I don't care if it's a $50 cap hit. It's your fault as an owner, or you're the reason. I don't know if it's a fault or not, but you're the reason that that player has a $50 cap hit, or you're the reason why that player is on your team with a $50 cap hit. You're the reason why you have fat thumbs and you're using your phone to deal a $50 player and not your computer. You're the reason why you didn't double check that that was the correct trade that you wanted to make and you didn't push the revoke button, which you can do. You're the reason, not me as the commissioner. I will never, ever, ever waver on this. Again, this isn't a fuck you. And I would do the same to anybody, and I have done the same to everybody. I fucking love you like a brother, dude, but I just can't waver on this. I'm sorry. I'll send you $17.75 in the mail. It sucks that while I'm at work, I'm getting text messages from my best buddy telling me I'm an asshole for doing this, calling me a prick while I'm at work, while I'm doing this shit at my desk, on my fantasy football site in March, when I should be working. I'm sorry. It sucks. I know it sucks. But for the integrity of the league, for the integrity of the league, for the guys who've made this mistake in the past, for the guys who make this mistake in the future, and for the contract or whatever that binds us all together, that these are the transactions that we want to make, I just cannot reverse these cap hits. I know it sucks. You're just going to have to deal with it. I'm sorry. That's that.